All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to St. Luke's annual Poetry Slam. We are so glad that you are able to join us today, whether it is actually here or online. We have many talented poets that are excited to share their work with you today. And because this is a poetry slam, we ask that instead of clapping, we snap after each poet is finished reading their poem. Before we begin, let us go to our Heavenly Father in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day and for all the students and their families at St. Luke's. We thank you for the talents and gifts you bless each of us with and the beautiful world you've created to inspire us. We ask that you be with each of these students as they present their poems and calm any nerves they may have. We love you and praise you. In your holy name we pray. Amen. And we will get started with our first poem by Colin Ekbatani from 1A.
My color poem. Orange is the color of an orange. Orange is the color that makes me nervous. Orange is the color of the sunset. Orange is the leaves in the fall. Orange tastes like the orange Gatorade. Orange smells like sweet oranges. Orange sounds like an orange bird. Orange feels like a pumpkin. Orange looks like Tigger jumping. Orange makes me a little nervous. Orange is my favorite color.
My big fat cat. I own a big fat cat, the fattest for miles around. Wherever there's lots of food, that's where he'll be found. He's really good at eating. It's a talent, I suppose. I'm sure if he keeps at it, he'd win the talent shows. I own a big fat cat. He weighs at least a ton. He couldn't run to save his life. Yes, he isn't much fun. His favorite room's the kitchen. I'm sure we all know why. He eats just about everything, so that's with a sigh. I'd like to tell you, teacher, I'd like to tell you straight, I might have accidentally dropped my homework in his plate.
Next up, we have Hudson Mastero from 1B.
The most important thing poem, God. The most important thing about God is that he loves us. He made us. He loved us so much that he died on the cross. He forgives us and never forgets us. But the most important thing about God is that he has a son.
Be glad your nose is on your face. Be glad your nose is on your face, not pasted in some other place. For if it were not where it is, you might dislike your nose a lot. Imagine if your precious nose were sandwiched in between your toes. That clearly would not be a treat, for you'd be forced to smell your feet. Your nose would be a source of dread were it attached atop your head. It soon would drive you to despair, forever tickled by your hair. Within your ear, your nose would be an absolute catastrophe, for when you were obliged to sneeze, your brain would rattle from the breeze. Your nose instead, through thick and thin, remains between your eyes and chin, not pasted in some other place. Be glad your nose is on your face.
Next up, we have Ava Hartsock from 1C.
Yellow's like a beautiful sun rising in the morning. Yellow's like a pencil at school. Yellow's like a leaf outside. Yellow's like cute T-bone on my Clifford so. Yellow tastes like a sour lemon on a hot day at the beach. Yellow smells like a sweet banana in my kitchen. Yellow sounds like a chopping board outside. Yellow feels like happiness. Yellow looks like the sun so bright. Yellow makes me happy inside. Yellow is like a sunflower and a sunflower pats.
A remarkable adventure. I was at my bedroom table with a notebook open wide when a giant anaconda started winding up my side. I was filled with apprehension and retreated down the stairs to be greeted at the bottom by a dozen grizzly bears. We tumultuously tussled till I managed to get free. Then I saw with trepidation there were tigers after me. I could feel them growing closer. I was quivering with fear. Then I blundered into quicksand and began to disappear. I was rescued by an eagle that descended from the skies to embrace me with its talons, to my terror and surprise. But that raptor lost its purchase when a blizzard made me sneeze, and it dropped me in a thicket where I battered both my knees. I was suddenly surrounded by a troop of savage trolls who maliciously informed me they would toast me over coals. I was lucky to elude them when they briefly looked away. And that's the reason why my homework isn't here with me today.
Next up, we have Ben Leventhal from 2A.
My color poem. Yellow is Jesus glowing brightly. Yellow is the color of happiness. Yellow is the sun glowing on a summer day. Yellow is the sunflower in a field. Yellow smells like freshly popped popcorn. Yellow tastes like a sour lemon. Yellow sounds like a taxi honking its horn in the street. Yellow looks like a sunset with the other colors. Yellow feels like soft sand. Yellow makes me very happy. Yellow is bananas dangling in the trees.
And now, an emotional and deeply moving reading of the poem, Mother Doesn't Want a Dog. Mother doesn't want a dog. Mother says they smell and never sit when you say sit or even when you yell. When you come home late at night and there is ice and snow, you have to go back out because the dumb dog has to go. Mother doesn't want a dog. Mother says they shed and always let the strangers in and bark at friends instead. They do disgraceful things on rugs and track mud on the floor and flop on your bed at night and snore their doggy snore. Mother doesn't want a dog, but she's making a mistake because more than a dog, I think, she will not want this snake.
Next up, we have Matilde Brown from 2B.
Blue. Blue is pretty like the sky. Blue is something of many shades. Blue is nice, like the night sky of stars. Blue is cool, like a winter day. Blue smells like a beautiful flower. Blue tastes like freshly washed blueberries. Blue sounds like a pretty blue jay. Blue looks like amazingness in your eyes. Blue feels like sadness and sorrow. Blue makes me want to eat. Blue is beautiful.
Clooney the clown. I'll tell you the story of Clooney, the clown who worked in a circus that came through town. His shoes were too big and his hat was too small, but he just wasn't funny at all. He had a trombone to play loud, silly tunes. He had a green dog and 1,000 balloons. He was floppy and sloppy and skinny and tall, but he just wasn't funny at all. And every time he did a trick, everyone felt a little sick. Every time he told a joke, folks sighed, as if their hearts were broke. And every time he lost a shoe, everyone looked awfully blue. And every time he stood on his head, everyone screamed, "Go back to bed!" And every time he made a leap, everybody fell asleep. And every time he ate his tie, everyone began to cry. And so, Clooney could not make any money, simply because he was not funny. One day he said, "I'll tell this town how it feels to be an unfunny clown." And he told them all why he looked so sad, and he told them all why he felt so bad. He told of pain and rain and cold. He told of darkness in his soul. And after he finished his tale of woe, did everyone cry? Oh, no, 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 they laughed. They laughed until they shook the trees with ha-ha-has and he-he-he's. They laughed with howls and yowls and shrieks. They laughed all day. They laughed all week. They laughed until they had a fit. They laughed until their jackets split. The laughter spread for miles around to every city, every town, over mountains, across the sea, from Saint-Tropez to Munson-Knee. And soon the whole world rang with laughter, lasting till forever after, while Clooney stood in the circus tent with his head drooped low and his shoulders bent, and he said, "That is so not what I meant. I was funny just by accident." And while the whole world laughed outside, Clooney the clown sat down and cried.
Next up, we have Aaron Savard from 2C.
Green. Green is the color of the grass and trees. Green tastes like mint chocolate chip. Green smells like fresh air. Green feels like soft slime. Green looks like soft grass. Green sounds like a bird chirping. Green makes me feel excited. Green is my favorite color.
Falling asleep in class. I fell asleep in class today as I was awfully bored. I laid my head upon my desk and closed my eyes and snored. I woke to find a piece of paper sticking to my face. I slobbered on my textbooks and my hair was a disgrace. My clothes were badly rumpled and my eyes were glazed and red. My binder left a 3-ring indentation on my head. I slept through class, and probably I would have slept some more, except my students woke me as they headed out the door.
All right, next up we have Alyssa Nugent from 3A.
A little puppy. A puppy wanders through the night, wondering where there might be fright. As the wind howls loudly through the night, the little puppy jumps with fright. But when the puppy finds his family, he will be as safe as can be, and together they will be in harmony.
Little tree. Little tree, little silent Christmas tree, you're so little. You're more like a flower. Who found you in the green forest? And were you very sorry to come away? See, I will comfort you because you smell so sweetly. I will kiss your cool bark and hug you safe and tight, just as your mother would. Only don't be afraid. Look, the spangles that sleep all year in the dark box, dreaming of being taken out and allowed to shine. The balls, the chains, red and gold, the fluffy threads. Put up your little arms and I'll give them all to you to hold. Every finger shall have its ring, and there won't be a single place dark or unhappy. Then, when you're quite dressed, you'll stand in the window for everyone to see, and how they'll stare. Oh, but you'll be very proud. And my little sister and I will take hands, and looking up at our beautiful tree, we'll dance and sing, Noel, Noel.
Next up, we have Maxim Byler from 3B.
the soccer game. This Saturday on this week, I have this feeling on my cheek. It gets so red, I am angry because we just lost against Germany. I hope next game we can win, but I will not brag because that's a sin. It's next Saturday, it's time to play, scores 2-1, and we won today. We get in line and say good game, we stay in the playoffs and get our fame.
This poem is My Family Sleeping Late Today by Jack Prelutsky. Just real quick, how many of you have woken up before the rest of your family before? And you're just waiting for them to wake up because you're a little bored by yourself. If you've done any of these things, I hope not all of them. If you've done any of these things, just put a thumbs up. Don't talk, just put a thumbs up if you've done anything, all right? Let's listen. My family is sleeping late today, but I am wide awake and making all the racket it's possible to make. I'm rapping on a window pane. I'm hammering a nail. Maybe you shouldn't do that without supervision, I don't know. I'm playing tackle with the cat. I'm yanking on her tail. I'm racing madly through the house. I'm slamming every door. I'm imitating jungle sounds. I trumpet and I roar. I think I'll play my trombone and pop a big balloon. They'll never sleep through all of that. They're sure to get up soon.
Next up, we have Erin Kelly from 3C.
My trip to Singapore. Rushing to the plane, it all seems so wrong. 28 hours in a plane, the waiting is so long. Suddenly the plane touched down. We were hungry, so we went underground. In the Singapore, there are underground malls. Food, books, and clothing for all. We bought some food, then went to the library. When we were done, there were many books to carry. The next day, we went to the zoo. They gave us a map. We knew what to do. In the zoo, there was a surprising boat ride. Boats go down an elevator, then down a slide. The boat went into a cave full of rocks. I saw 3 jaguars and almost jumped out of my socks. Leaving for the airport in a taxi at night, scrambling to get to our plane in time for our flight.
Our math teacher is missing. Our math teacher's missing. He cannot be found. We've looked high and low, but he's nowhere around. We peeked in the classrooms, we peered through the doors, we looked in the lockers and dug through the drawers. We dropped by the office, we searched in the halls, we ran through the bathrooms, inspecting the stalls. He's not on the playground or out on the lawn. It's hard to believe, but our math teacher is gone. We can't say for sure, but we're starting to think it could be because we have sort of a stink. And probably nothing has happened to him. He just knows that our math class is right after gym.
Next up, we have Lyell Hain from 4A.
The fun, rainy days. What is happiness without sadness? Would there be flowers if there was no rain? Would the blossoms bloom the same? Would we appreciate life as much if we didn't have stuff we hate? What will thy meaning of life be without hardships? Without the rain, would the grass ever get greener? Without the darkness, would the stars shine like diamonds? Without the gray days, would the bubblegum pink flamingo still be a spark of joy? Without sadness, would we rejoice in our lives? we shall make the most of life, enjoy it, and rejoice. When the sun sets, it always rises again. We may fall, but when we pick ourselves up, we get stronger. We may cry, but there is always the Lord to care for us. We may be broken, but we can always rejoice and hope in the Lord. And when the day comes where the sad world realizes that there can still be hope and happiness, the world will be much better and the grass will get greener. Does one's happiness have meaning now?
Rules for school. Get to school before the bell. In the classroom, do not yell. In the hallway, do not run. Make sure that your homework's done. Tie your shoes and comb your hair. Don't start dancing in your chair. Don't draw pictures on the wall. Don't ride skateboards in the hall. Don't chew bubble gum in class. Don't bring bugs in from the grass. Don't say things you know are rude. Never, ever throw your food. These are rules you should obey. As for me, I'm sad to say, that's a list of every rule I forgot today at school.
Next up, we have Diego Aguilar from 4B.
Florida is one of the 50 states of America that lays in the southeast. The Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean surrounds it. Florida is a part of a puzzle that brings Americans together. One whole platform filled with freedom, happiness, swampy rivers, and banks. Florida is a place where the bright sun brings light to trees, the flowers bloom, monarch butterflies glide, and the grass stands as tall as a desk. Florida is a sunny area with high climate and where snow is forever gone. As people travel to the state, they enjoy beaches with the sea sprinting with its loud roar towards the sandy shore, soaking everything in its way as seagulls soar through the sky. Florida is a place where as the sun dies down at the end of the day and darkness fills the sky, the stars twinkle, making constellations. The moon shines dazzlingly. Look, this is Florida. Florida is a great chance for summer vacations as tourists enjoy theme parks including Walt Disney World, SeaWorld, and so much more. Florida is where fish and dolphins fill the oceans, flamingos, ducks, and alligators swash for food in shallow lakes and brooks, and mosquitoes fly as squirrels climb up pine trees for acorns. Panthers, bobcats, bears search in the shade to feed their babies. This is Florida. Florida is an extraordinary state to live in. It is home for all of us.
This is a summer poem, Summer's Splendor by the Sea. Summer's splendor by the sea, a gentle blue serenity, caressing rays of golden sun, blushing, bronzing all who come. Enticed by its romantic lure, lovers stroll the sandy shore, hushing rhythm of the waves and salty, misty ocean sprays. Seabirds echo call of cries, pierce the deep blue azure skies. Dolphins dancing on their way across the sea out to the bay. A glistening, shining, sun-soaked day, all young and old alike at play. Building castles by the sea, jumping waves and spirits free. No place on earth as perfect to be as summer's splendors by the sea.
Next up, we have Mackenzie Patton from 4C.
The layers of our 4C onion. My class is like an onion. There are many layers to see, each one as different as can be. The first layer is our personalities. Everyone has their own qualities, from funny to kind to sometimes mean, and everything in between. The next layer is our talents, many for us all, like singing, reading, poetry, soccer, and volleyball. We each bring something different to the table. We grow each day to become more able. The third layer, that's our style. Like trading slime, it brings us a big smile. Some are short and some are tall. That is the way God made us all. Next, we have our friendships, which makes our class great. From besties to new friends, these we all celebrate. From the first day we met and the last day in class, we are sure to exchange a smile to everyone we pass. In the middle of the onion is the most important part. It was there from the start. It started as a tiny seed. Now it is the part that will lead. It is our faith that holds us together tight. Jesus is our forever lasting light.
Raise your hand if you've ever been in 4C. This poem is for you. It's called Home, Home on the Range. All is quiet on the range tonight. The sky is dark and the moon is bright. I'm an old cowboy, if you couldn't tell, from my southern drawl and my not-so-clean smell. I've been running cattle for near on 10 years now. My crew tells me I'm even starting to act like a cow. My morning begins by corralling the calves into a straight line that cuts the prairie in half. Most of my cows are old and some are newer. They eat, they walk, and then they make manure. But there's something about these careful creatures that the good Lord is trying to teach us. I've spent many a day working with these livestock, you see, and each one of them has something different they've taught me. Some are kind and caring, sharing everything with those around them, and others create friends with everyone, even the oxen. I still enjoy giving them nicknames like Milkbone or Spud. I might even miss loud lunch times as the cows chew on their cud. God has used my life as a cowboy these years to rear little calves into well-educated steers. I work with a tremendous team of cowboys and cowgirls. Their support and fellowship means the worlds. And I always cherish these times that we've shared, even the moments that have made me lose my hair. But it's getting you hard, you see. All this dander in the air makes it hard to breathe. It clogs my sinuses and makes me sneeze. I'm constantly wiping my snotty nose with my sleeve. Just walking around these cattle makes me wheeze. Some of my compadres try to convince me it's all in my head. Maybe I'd be better off working from the barn instead. Sure, I'd miss these critters and their ambling about, their joyous bellows and even their shouts. I'd like to say I've made a difference with at least a few, whether I'm cleaning them, directing them, or telling the flies to shoo. I know God's not done with me yet. There's some other animal for me to herd, I bet. Every day my eyes start to watering, not from emotion, quite contrary. I keep sneezing, which scatters the herd all over the prairie. I feel itchy when all the other cowboys ride by. My wheezy lungs make it difficult to even say hi. I've been from Nebraska to Florida moving these funny bovine. However, I've done it all without a horse, at least not mine. I've made a pretty good cowboy all these years, of course, but it's hard to be a cowboy when you're allergic to your horse.
Next up, we have Mary Oliver Peckham from 5A.
Decisions. Should I write something funny or something new? Should I write free verse or a haiku? What should I do? I could write happy or blue. Come on, think. Should I write a color poem? I could do purple or pink. I could do a cinquain. No, that's too plain. I got it! Aw, man, I lost it.
Chocolate maniac. I love my mother. I love my dad. I love my brother, though he drives me mad. My teacher, she is fine and dandy, but I really love my chocolate candy. I eat it when it's hot. I eat it when it's cold. I eat it when it's fresh, and I eat it when it's old. I eat it by the ounce. I eat it by the pound. I eat it at the table, and I eat it off the ground. I eat it, and I eat it till my belly's going to pop. But then I eat a little more. I don't know how to stop. I love that chocolate taste, oh so gooey, sweet, and thick. But I've eaten way too much, and I feel a little sick. I have got to learn to stop. I have got to take control. I'll give that chocolate up forever when I'm 99 years old.
Next up, we have Avery Sherrod from 5B.
Heaven. I wonder what will happen when I get there. Will I recognize my loved ones? Will they recognize me? Will my dogs be able to see? Will all birds be flying free? No one has the answers to my questions, so I guess I'll wait and see. God says it's perfect. Why should I worry? Let God handle it. Everything is prepared for me. Just ask God your questions without fear. Maybe he will answer them. When you overthink about it, remember, God has it figured out. He has a plan for you.
Okay. Well, this is a poem that I wrote, and I'll let you guys figure out when I wrote it, okay? If I wrote a poem last minute, I wondered what I'd say. It may be rushed and quite unclear, but it'd have to be that way. After all, I didn't prepare it. I didn't think up a soliloquy. It's just a poem last minute, so unclear is probably what it would be. If I wrote a poem last minute, I'd have to write it fast. I'd hear the seconds ticking, quickly ticking past. My heart would maybe start racing, anxiety would start kicking. That is all what would take place if I wrote a poem last minute. If I wrote a poem last minute, I'd have to at least make it rhyme. The rhythm may be a little off, but hey, I didn't have the time. Racing against the clock, raging against my brain, fighting against the thought that what I was doing was literally insane. If I wrote a poem last minute, I'd show all the haters. I'd procrastinate as long as I could, almost like my 7th graders. But yet, I'd come out smiling with a piece of paper in my hand. If I did this thing that we shouldn't do, I bet I'd still make it pretty grand. If I wrote a poem last minute, there must have been a reason why. Maybe I was up late the night before. Maybe I just didn't want to try. Maybe I thought it was too difficult, planning ahead and all that stuff. Maybe it'd be easier to do last minute. It might not be that tough. Writing a poem last minute for some may not seem too wise. But then again, if I do it, wouldn't that be a surprise? Okay, enough procrastinating. I'll write it now, yes, right away. I'll have it written way before, oh no, wait, the Poetry Slam is today?
Next, we have Kevin Douglas from 5C.
Life. What is life? Why are we here? Why is there pain in life? Why do we not know the answer to it? I ask you again, why are we here? Is life just a game or is it more? Where would we be if we did not have life? All of us have our answers, but all of us could be wrong or one of us could be right, but we'll never know.
This is called I Can't Wait for Summer.
I can't wait for summer when school days are done, to spend the days playing outside in the sun. I won't have to study, no homework, no test, just afternoons spent on adventures and quests. Instead of mathematics and writing reports, I'll go to the park and play summertime sports. Instead of assignments, report cards, and grades, I'll get to play baseball and watch the parades. I'll swing on the playground, I'll swim in the pool, instead of just practicing lessons in school. The second the school year is finally done, I'll spend every minute with friends having fun. I hardly can wait for the end of the year. I'm counting the days until summer is here. It's hard to be patient, it's hard to be cool. It's hard to believe it's the first day of school.
Next up, we have Alex Hakimapur from 6A.
Groundhog Day. Oh please, let spring come. Let this frigid winter be done. Let us all be out and play, instead of forcing us in all day. Coming up is Groundhog Day. Let's see if I get my way. Despite how hard I wanted it to, my wish sadly did not come true. My toes are still cold and numb, and spring indeed has yet to come.
After I read this poem, I want to see if you can guess what this poem is about. It's called The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, you storied pomp, she cries with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Anyone know? Yes. Looked to me like Statue of Liberty. Is that what you're saying? Well, we'll go with that anyhow. It was the Statue of Liberty.
Next up, we have Maya Polad from 6B.
Clouds. Clouds are like puffy pillows floating in the sky. We love to look at them, but we just don't know why. Are they big, fluffy marshmallows that are tender to the touch, or are they castles in the air that we just want to clutch? Either way, we know that clouds belong and that they will be with us our whole life long.
I would like to dedicate this poetic reading to my children, Rachel and Aaron, whom I'm convinced were the inspiration for its writing. This is Messy Room by Shel Silverstein. Whosever room this is should be ashamed. His underwear is hanging on the lamp. His raincoat is there in the overstuffed chair, and the chair is becoming quite mucky and damp. His workbook is wedged in the window. His sweater's been thrown on the floor. His scarf and one ski are beneath the TV. His pants are carelessly hung on the door. His books are all jammed in the closet. His vest has been left in the hall. A lizard named Ed is sleeping in his bed, and his smelly old sock has been stuck to the wall. Whosever room this is should be ashamed. Donald or Robert or Willie or... Huh? You say it's mine? Oh dear, I knew it looked familiar.
All right, next up we have Sean Ryan from 6C.
the earth, the ground so soft beneath your feet, the sound of waves trying to greet, the tallest mountains at the highest peak. You could see the whole world with just one peak. The water like glass and undersea grass, and fish who desired to pass. The sea is violent, I know, but when you see its beauty, your soul will glow. The violent streets are no easy treat, and the cars are not meant to greet. The city could be your resting place if you like things with a fast pace. The earth is beautiful with much to offer, but don't be deceived by the earth's apparent coffers.
So I'm going to need your help on this poem. I read it every year, so I'm just going to need your help, okay? So this is called our classroom zoo, and so there are noises that people are going to make. This section, you need to say, meow. Let me hear you. Good. Every time I point to you, just say meow and stop. So let's practice. Ready? Oh, I need a short meow. Ready? Good job. All right, this section, except for the adults, I have a special one for you. This section is moo, moo, like a cow. Do it twice. Ready? Good job. This section, ruff, 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 like a dog. Ready? Oh, we have to practice. You're going to do it 3 times. Ready? Okay, now let's try to do it together, maybe. Ruff, ruff, ruff. Ready? Good job. This section over here, you guys are going to go cock-a-doodle-doo. Let's try it one more time. When I point to you, try to do it together. Ready? Oh, good. And the adults. Screech, screech, like a monkey. Ready, adults? All adults. Ready? Good. All right. Ready for the poem? Can you remember your parts? I'll wait till you're ready. Okay. You'll say them over and over. It builds on itself. You'll get it. Kitty whiskers, kitty feet. Kitty sounds are soft and sweet. Moo cow standing all around. Listen to the moo cow sound. Every day the rooster, puppies pouncing playfully. Why do puppies bark at me? Every day the rooster crows. This is how the rooster goes. Monkey tall, monkey hair, monkeys climbing everywhere. Our classroom sounds just like a zoo. Watch out for that kangaroo. Boing.
All right, next up we have Julian Yeager from 7A.
Oh island, I'll miss you so, for you were always there to guide me ashore. Your lighthouse guided me through the sea, but now it is decrepit and eerie. These shores were full of nostalgic memories, but now bittersweet melancholy. Though the loving light doesn't shine anymore, I am left to find my own way to shore.
The 8th graders have been studying about the 1920s, the Roaring Twenties, and also the Harlem Renaissance. So I'm going to read you 2 poems. The first one is written by Walt Whitman about the time of the Civil War, and the second one is Langston Hughes' response to that poem. The first one's entitled, I Hear America Singing. I hear America singing, the varied carols I hear, those of mechanics, each one singing his, as it should be blithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes work ready or leaves off work. The boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench. The hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song, the plowboy's on his way in the morning, or at the noon intermission, or at the sundown. The delicious singing of the mother, or of the young wife at work, or of the girl sewing or washing. Each singing what belongs to him or her, and to no one else. The day, what belongs to the day. At night, the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs. This is Langston Hughes' response. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America.
All right, next up we have Lila Mills from 7B.
Perfect picture. The mirror lies, and slowly my confidence dies. There are many things that I used to despise, but I realize they're all lies. Feeling good in my body is the best thing I can do, because God made me special just like He made you. Loving myself through and through, you should learn to love you too. I know that I'm enough. That doesn't mean some days aren't rough, that I don't notice all the stuff that makes living life so tough. I learned to love me, and now I see that I am set free from the perfect picture that society wanted me to be.
This is a poem that I wrote many years ago when I went through a really rough time. It's called My Friend. So quiet and gentle, a breath of fresh air, too busy to notice my friend standing there. Oh, who could I turn to and who really cared? So filled with confusion, doubt, and despair. Like a trapped rabbit, heart beating fast, wanting to flee life, all happiness past. Then just at the time when I thought hope was gone, my friend said, have no fear, I'll not leave you alone. He swooped down and lifted me, this soul filled with fear, told me he loved me, in his sight I was dear. How could my friend forgive and forget things I had done, so much to regret? But now time has passed, and I seem to recall my friend standing there in the midst of it all. We've become so much closer, in his name I will stay. I no longer want the broken pieces of clay. The nights were the hardest, I dreaded them most, but now I am contented, my friend is the host. My weary eyes close, my body will rest. So I found what I've searched for, my friend did the rest. Oh friend, how very precious and wonderful you are, my sweet rose of Sharon, my bright morning star. No matter where you take me, no matter where you lead, my precious friend Jesus is all that I need.
Next up, we have Katie Daniel from 7C.
Change. I hate change. I can't get away from it. Why did you like me yesterday, but not today? What did I do to you that makes you see me in a different way? If you really loved me, would you pick so many fights? I really thought you were my ride or die. There it is. Change again. Your perspective of me changes every now and then. But why can't it stay consistent? Why can't you love me like you did once before? That's the thing with change. It's like a rope rubbing against wood. It's fine for a while, but not for good. And before you know it, that rope is fraying, and the more you pull and tug, the more it is changing. Soon you won't recognize that rope as what it was from the start, because soon it will only be hanging on by a thread. Small, helpless, begging for somebody to make it whole again. but you can't change the damage you've already done. So be careful what you say next, because your words in the past really stung. So I hate change because of you. Because maybe if you wouldn't have changed, I wouldn't have too.
Maggie and Millie and Molly and May. This is one of my favorites, and I read this one every year. Maggie and Millie and Molly and May went down to the beach to play one day, and Maggie discovered a shell that sang so sweetly she couldn't remember her troubles, and Millie befriended a stranded star whose 5 languid fingers were, and Molly was chased by a horrible thing which raced sideways while blowing bubbles, and May came home with a smooth round stone, as small as a world and as large as a loan. For whatever we lose, like a you or a me, it's always ourselves we find in the sea.
Next up, we have Abigail Patton from 8A.
The Lord's light. In the beginning, there was a void. There was only pure darkness and nothing more. And yet, there was God in his valor and might. And one day, God said, "Let there be light." And then light filled that void, and it was beautiful indeed. It was pleasing to the Lord, so he began to plant his seeds. From this moment on, our story begins. The first chapter is started, but with that came the first sin. So we plunged back into darkness, back to when there wasn't a hope in sight. And yet, everything changed when just one held out a light. And that light ignited a flame that sparked even more lights, and those flames spread like a wildfire, and the whole world shone bright. Many years later, in a city oh so far, a young child was born beneath the light of a shining star. This little child soon grew up. He lit many lights and helped many to believe. And yet, many of these flames burned only out of anger, and he knew it was his time to leave. And so as he died while carrying our sin, he watched many lights fall out and many hearts harden. And as he drew his final breath, the world fell once again back into darkness. And yet, though so many lights fell out and so many lost all hope and trust, he came bursting forth in glorious day, and he became that light for us. He is still a light for us today, and I watch as his light shine in all of you. If it started with light, then it will end with light. So how will you spread your light too?
So many of you know that my oldest daughter went through St. Luke's and she's in college. Poetry Slam was her favorite thing every year. And when she graduated here, she wrote her own poem talking about how she was feeling, and she felt that was a great way for poetry was to give and express her feelings. And she's actually published. If you were on the volleyball team, you will understand the title and part of the poem. It's called Pinky Power. When I look at myself in the mirror, I see a small and important girl, anxiety-ridden, a nameless, faceless being in a crowd of shining stars. When I'm at school, all I see are stars shining brighter than me, being better than me. All I feel is inadequate. As soon as I'm alone, my tears flow, yearning to matter, my heart aches at my uselessness. But then I look at my hand, at my small pinky finger, a tiny digit, small and helpless. How does it cope? The pinky finger is small, weak, and fragile, but the pinky has a role to play. It can help us achieve, and I'm reminded of my worth. Even the smallest, weakest individuals matter, and I matter too. The role I play is just as important as the brightest star or the strongest muscle. I can do great things, even if I am small, young, and inexperienced.
The pinky is important to the rest of the hand, and just like the pinky, I matter to those close to me, helping to do great things and bringing laughter to others. The pinky not only is supportive, but it has support from others, the support of its family, friends, and mentors. Their support makes it feel less alone and useless. When I feel unimportant, I remind myself I am the pinky, that even my short, insequential life can make a big difference and be part of something greater. My worth comes from within. I matter because I am human. And even on the days I don't believe I matter, my worth is still evident in the smiles of my loved ones and my small pinky finger.
Next up, we have Abby Peters from 8C.
Where I'm from. I'm from neighborhood walks and family talks. I'm from playing catch in the front yard and playing on swings in the backyard. I'm from lying on the grass looking up at a tree and catching lizards in plastic containers. I'm from cat fur covered clothes and constant sneezing and stuffed animal fights and brother-sister teasing. I'm from small plastic kiddie pools and tons of bruised knees. I'm from cousin sleepovers and pictures, say cheese. I'm from Kraft mac and cheese and hot dogs for dinner, and from cleaning the dishes and doing the litter. I'm from church every Sunday and say thank you and please, but most importantly, I'm from a loving family that I can take care of and that takes care of me.
Sticking with the history theme, this poem is probably not one you recognize as a poem. Oh, say can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, or the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through that night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? On the shore, dimly seen through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes, what is that which the breeze o'er the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam on the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected now shines on the stream. 'Tis the star-spangled banner, oh long may it wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And where is that band who so vauntly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumphant wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, thus be it ever when freemen shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. That was by Francis Scott Key in the defense of Fort McHenry.
While we wait for Mrs. Schultz and our judges to finish tallying up their notes, we are very lucky that we have Ms. Carbo, our instrumental music teacher, and Mr. Coomer, our director of worship gatherings, to play some beautiful music for us.
It is a joy and a privilege to be here today. This is our 15th annual Poetry Slam. And let's have another round of snaps for our contestants. They did a great job. All 24 of you did wonderfully. And you're all winners because you were chosen by your class and your teachers. So every single person here is a winner. So congratulations, you should feel proud of your accomplishments. Before we get on to the final awards, there's some people I'd like to thank. First of all, I'd like to thank the teachers and staff readers. I'd like to thank my other committee members on Poetry Slam. We have Ms. Jones and Mrs. Kisner. The AV and Tech Department, maintenance for their setup. Mrs. Abel, she purchases all of the awards that we have. And Mrs. Kirk does the printing of the certificates. And I'd like to thank those on the judging panel who joined me at the table. We have Ms. Creo. She's the 3B teacher this year, and next year she'll be doing Cubs enrichment. And we have Mrs. McLaughlin, who's a church musician, Mrs. Nugent, who's a music teacher. So you're probably wondering how we come about deciding who the winners are. Well, scoring happens like this. The judges are given copies of all the student poems about 2 weeks in advance, and they read through all the poems and score for the content. That's the first part. Look for things like, does it have a clear point of view? Is it effective use of vocabulary? Do they capture human emotions and experiences? Is there a rhythm to the poem? Then the second part is what you hear today, the live performance part. And we take a look at and see how the poet speaks. Are they speaking clearly? Are they projecting their voice? Do they convey the theme and the mood of the poem as they read? So the poem content is added to the performance score, and then the person with the highest total in each level will be named a Poetry Slam winner. We have 3 overall winners. We'll have a winner in grades 1 through 2, grades 3 through 5, and grades 6 through 8, and our prizes are awesome. Each winner will get a medal that they'll put around their neck, and on the back it's engraved St. Luke's Lutheran School Poetry Slam 2023. And they will also get a $50 gift card to Barnes & Noble. So that's $50, 50, not 15, 50. All right, it'll be time to announce the winners. For overall winners, when your name is announced, I'd like you to come up front when your name is called, and Ms. Jones will give you your awards. I'd like you to remain up front. And after we have all the 3 winners up here, Mrs. Bursch is going to take a photo for the Wildcat. And then I'll invite any parents that like to come to take pictures to do so at that time. And then we'll close for the whole school with a prayer by Ms. Jones. All right. For grades 1 through 2, for her poem, my color poem from class 1C, Ava Hartsock. For her poem, The Fun Rainy Days from Class 4A, Lael Hain. And for her poem, The Lord's Light from Class 8A, Abigail Patton. Congratulations to all of our winners. Then we'll invite Mrs. Birch to come up and take the picture. So great smiles, everybody. So if we have any parents that would like to come up to take a photo, we'll invite you at this time. And I'd like to thank everybody who came for the Poetry Slam. I know school is part of what we do during this time, but for all the parents and other relatives who came to enjoy this special day. All right, then we'll close with Ms. Jones with a prayer. Thank you very much for coming today.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again for each of these students and the words that you inspired each of them to write. We ask that you be with each of us as we go about our day and make everything we say and do glorify you. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations.